Oh, it feels so good to get rid of that. Hi everyone, it's Father James here. Welcome to another edition of Coffee with Father James, and it is the music mug today. It's a good mug, but I decided to use the music mug because it's tall and coffee comes up to, full cup comes up to here, less chance of spillage, because today we're going for a walk. Now, I'm starting here. I just came out of the parish office. This is the central location administratively where our office manager is here, our reception area is here. We have a couple of staff members who work from here, and my office is here in Anne Marie's. We also have some staff who work up the hill, but I'm going to tell you more about that later. So I want to give you a little situational tour, because just as over the last couple of weeks I mentioned that there's some of you who haven't visited like St. Anthony's and Immaculate Conception and St. Paul's, some of you who might not have a full sense of what this location is all about. Now, I mentioned sometimes that we have 13 buildings, right? So if you're careful, if you look at standalones, we actually have 11, because I'm including this site, this building here, this physical building as 3, because you get the church, you get the office, and you've got the residence, which currently has 3 retired priests living in it, the residence right up there. So this is, I think, realistically we can call this 3 because it functions as 3 different buildings. And then we've got the parish centre up on the hill. We'll take a little walk. And last week we showed you the Churchill Academy School and the Creighton Centre, and that makes for 3, 4, 5, 6 buildings in this property. We've got the glebe and the church at Immaculate Conception. We've got the glebe and the church at St. Paul's, and the hall, the glebe and the church at St. Anthony's. So lots of buildings. You know, as Jesus said, the buildings are plentiful, parishioners are few. He didn't really say that. So we're going to go on a little walk. You can see this is the building that was built in 1968, opened in 1969. By the way, 1969 was a very good year. And the old building that this replaced, built in the 1880s, was an old stone church which originally faced on Maple Street. So this was constructed in 68, 69. At the time, revolutionary in its architecture and its style. Remember, this was just a few years after the Second Vatican Council, so this idea of having a round church was like very, very novel, very novel. So we get the main stained glass windows. Many of you have seen them from the inside, on video perhaps, but this is the Pentecost window from the outside. You see the parish office space behind me, a part of the residence. We're coming down to the front of the building. You see St. Peter's. Come on, I'll tell you something funny about the statue of St. Peter here. What's missing? What do you think is missing? You see his hand? Someone stole the keys. Someone stole the keys. So he doesn't have keys. We're going to have to get that fixed. Anyone who can fix that watching, just let us know. You see that the foundation stone was put here by Bishop James Hayes on June 29th, 1968. Church that was on the site was destroyed by fire December 28th, 1966, between Christmas and New Year. So this is the main entrance. There's other doors at the side. In fact, there's 2 other sets of doors on this side, 2 on this side. We have many doors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We've got something like 7 different doors that take you out into this parking lot. You see the parking lot here. This is the bell tower. You see the big tall structure. Bad news, it's not in very good shape. Needs to be taken down because it's all kind of rotted up there on top. Back end of the building. So this is a massive plant, massive. I mean, just taking a tour of the inside of this building, going through the main church and the downstairs and behind the sanctuary and the office and into the residence. It's, I don't know what kind of square footage it is, but I've no idea. I'm not very good at that, but it's a lot. It's a lot. You can see across from us we've got the beautiful Sullivan's Pond. It's actually very, very pretty. As the staff will tell you, I like walking meetings. Sometimes they're not too keen on it. I'm like, let's go for a walk. And we'll go for we'll do a couple of kind of power laps around Sullivan's Pond. If we've got a long meeting, we'll go for the whole loop around Lake Bannock, about 55-minute walk. That's for series meetings. If it's just a very, very short meeting, we take a loop around the hill here. So let me bring you in behind the residence. So we're going to kind of walk completely around the building. So this is the back end, and we have here the priest residence. Now, there used to be no separation between the office residence and the residence. So we put a separation there, and we're developing this door to be, see, please put paper at this door. This is now kind of the entrance to the residence. We're going to pretty it up a little bit, and we've made this end of the building just simply for the office. So this is the building built in 1968. I'm going to take you up the hill now to go to what's called the Parish Centre. This building is kind of a joining together of three different buildings into one. The oldest part of this building was the summer home of the president of Dalhousie University in the 1880s, believe it or not. And when the parish bought this land, it became the rectory, and they built an apartment onto the back end of it for the housekeeper, and it was the rectory. I think this actually burned as well. There was been a lot of arson of Catholic churches in the news recently, but seemed to be happening back then too. Eventually, in the 70s, after this new church was built, they built on what is called the Parish Centre. So the whole place now is called the Parish Centre. You see, it's kind of atypical for a parish building. So we're coming around the back. When you drive down Maple Street and you see the stone wall, we're up at a fair height here. And you come around the back of the property. This is the apartment building that's currently rented out. And what I want to show you here is the space that's here. There's actually an old entrance that's unused. You see these concrete blocks? Well, if you peer down there, you'll see there's an old road equipped with speed bumps even that goes all the way down to Maple Street. Could still be a kind of a functioning entrance, but you'd need a heavy snowplow to get through here. So let's come around the back. If you've been in the Parish Centre before, this is behind the Parish Centre. The old garage, that's where I keep the Christmas decorations. And look at all the trees in there. All the way on this side, it says private no trespassing. This is go all the way down to Maple Street and all the way to the back. It's all our property. You see there's not much space between the Parish Centre and the old parish school. This was the elementary school of the parish, built in the late 50s, I think, early 60s. It was built as a secondary school. This is the field where I was last week. So come on up here and check this out. I mean, look at the space we've got here. Boy, I'm glad I've got this steep mug. I haven't lost a drop of coffee yet. So, yeah, welcome to the field. And you'll see on this side, we have the playground used by the daycare that was in the Creighton Centre. This is all our property, all the way to the far fence. Those crows you hear, they're Catholic crows. They are our crows. Just hoping they don't have a good aim. Coming down the stairs, I better cover my coffee cup, just in case they do have a good aim. Wouldn't it be just like it? So, here we are on the ground here, and we see this massive building here. Yes, our building is the Creighton Centre, which we are with the city negotiating the breaking of the lease, which is due to break next April. And this building is not in very good condition. We'll probably end up putting a padlock on it. But again, right to that fence back there is our property. The school is our property. This originally was the elementary school run by the nuns. And behind this building, there's a grey building that was the old convent for the sisters. So you've got this huge building, the school, Parish Centre. You see, there's a lot of buildings. All of these buildings sit on two parcels of land in terms of how land is registered with the city. So two distinct parcels of land. I'm not sure perhaps of the technical words for this, but you see the Sawmill Playhouse. This is where the Dartmouth Players used to be, and they're going to be here for until this coming April. They've been good tenants, but we had leased this building for $0 a year for something like 38 years to the city. They took care of the building. It would have been a big albatross had they not. and they subleased the building to the Dartmouth Players and to the daycare. So coming down again, this is still our property. We come down again towards Sullivan's Pond. Now, why am I showing you all this? The same reason as we went to all the locations and walked around at the other churches, because this all belongs to Our Lady of Guadalupe, and on this site, I said 2 parcels of land, 5.1 acres together. That's a lot of land. So this coming Thursday, we are having a very important meeting, joint meeting of Parish Pastoral Council with the Finance Council, newly formed Pastoral Council. Now, that reminds me, last week I showed you all those nice pictures of Parish Pastoral Council. I forgot someone. I forgot Shannon Chisholm. Shannon, I'm so sorry. I already called Shannon, apologized. She was very gracious, but she is from Cape Breton. She said, you do that again, I'll kill you. Only kidding. No, she was great. So Shannon, please forgive me. And here is your hockey card picture all to yourself. There you go, folks. Shannon is the 10th member of the parishioners who are on Pastoral Council. So we're having a joint meeting of Parish Pastoral Council and Finance Council with the Options Committee. Now, what is the Options Committee? Back in September through to December, we held, many of you know this, a 7-session series called New Foundations. We'll be gathered on Saturday mornings in person, Monday evenings on Zoom. Altogether, we had close to 140, 150 people participate in this. It was a time of dialogue, presentations, listening, discerning, prayer, discussion. And we went through a whole series of topics, including, where are we right now? Where are we called to be? How are we going to get there? What do we need to turn away from? What are our resources? What are our options for the future? And we looked at 5 potential options for the future. And out of the people who were involved in this process, we invited people who were interested to form an options committee, and under the leadership of Roy Palaco, we formed an options committee, and they examined and researched these 5 options. So what were these 5 options? I'm glad you asked. Now, before I tell you these options, quick presumption. We looked at options for the future because we're talking about the future, not preserving the past or the present. What do we need to bring us into the future? What do we need, for instance, to bring us to 2070? It's got to be about mission. It's not about preference. It's about what would be best for the mission. And we also landed as a discussion group that our future parish should have 2 locations. One location for Sunday Eucharist and kind of administration and meetings, but a second location for outreach to the poor in North Dartmouth. And also that this would not be a parish limited by our physical buildings. We would dream of being a parish where parishioners meet regularly all over the city in homes, okay? But this idea of 2 locations. So what were our 5 options? Number 1, do nothing. It's an option. It's an option we've been doing for a couple of years, but everyone agreed that wasn't a real option, a viable one. Second option was to sell everything and buy new land somewhere, hopefully central to the parish, and build a brand new building. And one of the things the Options Committee looked at is they looked at that option. They got independent specialists to come and help us with that, and more about that later. Option 3 was to repair this building, not change it, just to repair it. Option 4 was to repair it and to add on to it if the building was solid, and we did have a very extensive engineering study done of this building. Option 5 was to build new on this location. Now you see in these 5 options that of the 4 viable options, because doing nothing is not really a viable option, but of these options, the only one that doesn't involve a future on this site is the sell everything option, okay, which we've looked at. I'm telling you all this because this is what the conclusions of the Options Committee are going to be presented to the Joint Parish Council and Finance Council this Thursday. They say yes or no. Once we receive that option, we've got to prepare a report to the bishop and send it to the bishop for his approval, for his go-ahead to continue. And once we get that in September onwards, if we have that go-ahead, we'll begin a more precise consultation, open consultation with parishioners around what that means for us. Okay, so we're going to keep you posted on that. Now, I know you're probably thinking, Oh, gross, I have a fly in my coffee. You know what happened to the Scotsman who had a fly land in his whiskey? Have you heard that one? He took out the fly and he said, "Spit it out, spit it out." That's a terrible joke for Scots. What was I saying? Yeah, you're probably thinking, well, why don't you just tell us? Well, not yet. Here's what we're going to do. The meeting's going to happen on Thursday. Coffee next week, I'll tell you all about how things went, and I'll tell you exactly what recommendation was made by the options committee. So let's put that aside for a moment. A couple of other things. Good news about church attendance. As of next week, no pre-registration. Our numbers here at the St. Peter's location can go up to 150, which is amazing. So it's going to be first come, first serve. In addition, on the weekend of July 25th, it's Father Rob's final weekend. We are planning some kind of an event between the two morning masses. So those who leave the 9 a.m. and those who are coming for the 11 a.m. If you come a little earlier and the people leaving stay a little longer, we're going to have some kind of a united event. How exactly we're going to do that, we're still figuring that out, but we will let you know as soon as we know. I think that's everything. I was just looking at Brad, he's standing there. So that was probably longer than usual, but I hope you enjoyed the walk around with me and realize how blessed we are. Just think of all of these buildings we have now. Yeah, buildings are liabilities. They're also assets. We think of them as assets. They're also liabilities. They're both. The challenge that we have ahead of us is how we can take all of this patrimony that's been given to us by our spiritual ancestors and to remake it and reshape it for the sake of the mission that Jesus has given us. God bless everyone.